All right. Good afternoon, everyone. This is The Conduit. I am Marwan Cameron. Today is Hump Day. It is Wednesday, March 15th. It is 12:02 in the afternoon. 46 degrees in Kitsap County. I'm playing hurt today. I think I got food poisoning last night, so I did not feel great. But, the show must go on, and on it goes. Now, I know we're on a little bit earlier today, but there's an award ceremony going on downtown at the Norm Dix building at 2 p.m. Everyone is invited. From 2 to 4, the Kitsap Housing and Homeless Coalition is having their meeting in person. G2 will be providing refreshments, and it's a great time to meet and greet. And if you have questions with any of those organizations, great time to come down and speak directly to them. But with no further ado, let's go on and bring on the co-host. You already know who that is. Mark Boatwright Frost.
Hey,
How are you doing today?
good. And I'm going to jump right in with a question for you.
Okay.
So, what if you were handed a contract that you already knew a whole bunch of people had signed? And inherent in this contract, it says that 80% of all your new income is going to go to one person who does nothing for you. Would you sign that contract?
No, not unless it was under duress.
Yet that's the contract we live under. That is our current social contract. 80% of all new money, all new income ends up going to the 1%, who essentially has no responsibility and or apparently humanistic call to do anything for the people that they are getting rich off of. And yet, we talk about taxes and we scream to high heaven for a 0.5% tax raise because it's going to kill us, when 80% of all new income is going to people who don't give a damn about us and who have no responsibility to do anything for us.
Wow.
So does that clarify our social contract a little bit?
It does. And is that appropriate since 3 banks have failed in the last week and been bailed out?
Yep. It is to some degree appropriate because so when you understand that the system has been rigged and no one is in charge of it, no one's regulating it, no one's in charge of it, it's just a free-for-all. Think of a whole bunch of pirates trying to grab your money, and the system is rigged to give them your money, but then they feed on each other. There's no loyalty. And, this is the one thing about conspiracy theories. Everyone thinks that there's this conspiracy theory and someone's in charge. Let me just show you the banks and the feeding frenzy over the rich. Who wants to be richer? It's not about it's not about controlling. It's about ego. It's about insecurity. It's about being personally broken and have no touch with humanity. There is no conspiracy. This is a playbook that's been running for 15,000 years, and the people with the resources can play the playbook, but they also have to deal with each other. And they're fighting for their lives on that level as well.
I kind of see a difference without distinction, right? Like it's not necessarily, conspiracy might not be the word, but what I see
Collusion
is we have been socialized into trying to grasp the brass ring, right? So It's like, they're not bad. You want to be them. So now you're on this hamster wheel and the circle just continues, right? So we're incentivized to keep it going, even though 99.9% of us will never, attain that.
Yep. And here's the gotcha. And this goes back to cognitive dissonance and the human's infinite ability, our current state of humanity's infinite ability to delude themselves. Look at the freaking numbers, folks. It's like the lottery. 1 in 400 million people will hit it. Okay? The numbers are not in your favor, ever. And it's like playing the stock market is like legalized gambling, and you have no control over the outcome. So you think you're going to get rich, but at some point, the favor is always to the house. Always. You have no control over what decisions are going to be made by corporations. You don't even know what the basis for those decisions are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I guarantee you that they are not going to be in your favor, because not if somebody else is going to make more money. This
Right.
is what we live with. We live in this delusion, and we live under this social contract that is so
Oh,
broken. Huh? What happened?
go ahead. I'm still with you.
Okay. Um, that is so broken that it is actually literally killing us.
Yeah. So I don't see how to dismantle that. There was, when you were speaking, something popped into my head, and I think about, gambling, right? All of
Mhm.
the casinos and how folks are socialized into, the bells and the whistles and no windows and no clocks. And, you can look at the odds, right? And understand the odds, but psychologically, you still feel like you've got a chance, right? I mean, what did the lottery logo used to be, right? If you're not in it, you can't win it, or something along those lines. I think that was back in the 80s or the 90s. But they do the same things with kids at Chuck E. Cheese, right? They
Yep.
get tickets for putting in the tokens, and if they win, and so it's socializing that gambling piece in them. And so yeah, we were taught this from a very young age. It's like, oh, if you just work hard, if you do this, you'll be okay.
Yeah, if you work hard and you do this, you'll end up being homeless and I'll have your money. So, we compete in our society. We compete all of the time. We are in conflict. We other each other and and end up in conflict with each other. When we look at solving climate change, we talk about fighting climate change. We talk about all of these conflicting and quote competing thoughts about how to deal with something. Is that really how we're wired to fix problems? Or is that how we stop ourselves from moving forward to fix problems?
I don't know. This one, you caught me during a time where I'm feeling bleak again.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I'm
let's
not
see if we can lift that up a little bit.
I'm
Mike,
all for it.
Michael was feeling the same way, and I kind of hit him with this yesterday. I spanked one of the board members. I'm sorry about this, but he was saying, "Can anybody give me the hope?" Oh, who is crawling across the floor behind you?
Oh, that is Michael. I mean,
Oh,
Keyshawn.
Keyshawn. Hey, Keyshawn. Um, okay, so he was talking about, can anybody give me hope to think that we're not just going to flush it all down the toilet or something like that? I don't remember exactly what it was. And I let all the people put their comments in for a day or so, looking at this, thinking and scratching my head and feeling a way about this. And so I finally just said, if you came to the workshops and engaged in the process of learning what they have to teach and engaged in the process of growing your community, that might answer your question. And immediately got back, well, I don't have time to do, I do what I can. I don't have time to do it. And I came back to him with the simplest thing I can possibly say. We never have time. We
Mhm.
make time. If all you're doing is complaining about it, and Michael, if you're on board, I'm sorry about this, but I'm going to use you as an example because I do. If all you want to do is complain about it on Facebook, rock and roll. I can ignore that all day long. But if you want to feel better and start working toward cooperation, which is the model to get us forward, come to the workshops on Saturday.
So I saw his original post. I didn't see the responses. Did it get a lot of responses? Were
It
folks
got a fair amount of responses. Everything from here's some people, here's the top 500 people of inspiration on Newsweek, um, and to, actually some pretty good things being said about, changing perspective,
Mhm.
which is really good. But, the reality is what we're doing and what he is on the board of directors for is addressing that very issue. And so that's what we have to, get everybody on board to address that issue is learn how we got here and learn how to cooperate.
So I kind of like that he put that on Facebook, and I know that I tell folks, you can complain, right? There's a space for that, but then you have to move to the solution. So what I like about it, and the reason why I asked if other people posted, is I bet there's a lot of people that are feeling the way that we are, right?
Yep.
I'm typically a hopeful and a jovial person and a glass half full, and I don't, I win and I learn, I don't lose, and I wake up every day and continue on that mantra. So I'm not going to give up. But there are times when I do feel depleted. And so I bet there's some other folks that are feeling that way. And so I think that was a gift to stimulate, to facilitate that dialogue that you were able
Absolutely.
to put
Which is
forward.
which is why I waited a day or so before I posted a response. What do we have here? Undeveloper.
Let's see.
Okay. Not something I'm going to talk about on the show.
Yeah.
Um, and okay, I'm getting okay. So sorry, folks, we're getting feedback in here, and it is being very weird. But that's okay. We love feedback, but talk about the subject that we're talking about. Because this is a conversation, and we invite you to join the conversation. We are thrilled when you join the conversation. We had somebody last week who made it a whole lot better by his additions and a lot more interesting, and got Marwan and I thinking outside of our boxes.
Oh,
So
and
please
has
join us. Yeah.
to us. And we're in communication back and forth. So have you had a chance
Yep.
to talk with them?
We've been talking too.
Good.
Yeah, he's waiting patiently or impatiently for my book to be finished.
Oh man. Well,
So anyway, we have a lot of stuff going on. I want to do a shout out, and I'm going to do it while I remember it, as opposed to having some place in the program to do the shout out. We are planning to do a Stone Soup event this year. We are looking for a location for it. We have a commitment from Chef Chris Now, who is currently at the World Cooking Championships. And he did the last Stone Soup, and we want to make this an annual event. So we are going to be doing a Stone Soup. It'll be in the October-November timeframe, so look for it. And I invite you all to spend more time on the Kitsap Resiliency Project page getting engaged, because we have a new statement, and I'm going to roll it out for Marwan for the first time right now.
I love it.
If nobody engages, nothing changes.
Facts.
And that's just, I mean, I don't want it to become a meme that everybody just sees and writes off. Think about that. If nobody engages, nothing's going to change. Nothing changes. Because the only way things change is when people engage and cooperate with each other, find common ground, and say, this has to change. That's the way things change.
So tell everyone what Stone Soup is. I now know because you taught me what it was, and I didn't grow up with that story, but it's an awesome story.
So, well, there's 3 or 4 versions of it. My favorite is the from the French Napoleonic times. A French soldier got separated from his unit. He was trying to make his way back. He was starving. He came into a village, and all of the villagers had all locked up all their food and were feeling that they didn't have enough to share. And so they locked their doors and told him, no, go away, no, go away. And finally he said, okay, what we're going to do, what I'm going to do is I need to borrow a pot from you, and a big pot from you, and I'm going to go light a fire in the middle of the square, fill the pot with water, and I'm going to make stone soup. It's something my mother taught me. It is a magical soup. It will feed everybody in the village, and it's magnificent. So he goes down and he sets up this pot. He gets a fire under it. He goes down to the river. He finds this really beautiful big stone. I'm going to hold it up, big stone, and puts it in the pot and starts boiling the water. And people start getting curious and coming out and asking him what he's doing. He says, well, I'm making stone soup. Well, when will it be ready? He says, it'll be ready soon. But it would be really good if I had a carrot in this, because carrot would just make it perfect. So a villager runs off and grabs a carrot. And then, an onion would just make this magnificent. So a villager runs up and gets an onion or two. And it keeps going and going and going. And everybody in the village adds a little bit to the soup. And at the end, they have this giant cauldron of soup that everyone eats. And they all just gave a little bit for this magnificent meal.
I love that story. I'd never heard it until like a month ago when you told me that story on the podcast. It's like, oh yeah, never heard it. So what is that going to look like in October? Like, you're going to open it up. Folks are going to bring food.
Actually,
a pot big enough to feed the whole county, but it'll be in smaller portions. Like,
yeah, actually, Chris will bring a couple large pots. I think we've got a couple of like 10-gallon pots. And the last time, if it works the same way as the last time, the farmers will donate certain things. Last time, the farmer donated a goat. And a lot of farmers have donated vegetables of various kinds. And that's how the soup literally came together from the donations of the community, which is exactly how it's supposed to be. And they were delicious. Chef Now took what he had and made phenomenal soups. He made a vegetarian one, he made a meat one, and everybody had bowls of soup.
That sounds pretty cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I definitely can bring some ingredients for sure.
Yeah, so and it's just the and I just talked to Spiva, the new spice place over near the Harrison Wound Care Center on Lebo.
Mm-hmm.
They have there's by the way, shout out for a local vendor. Spiva has fresh spices and will make spice mixes for you. I buy all my spices there now because I cook and I like to have my spices actually have flavor and not be sitting in a plastic container for how many years before I buy it. So I buy most all of my spices from them, and they are donated spices to the Stone Soup event.
Okay.
So that will be from a local vendor, and I will have a table set up. Also, I'll be reaching out to Black Ring Distillery to provide the alcohol for the bar at the event.
Oh, there's going to be a bar.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, it's partly a fundraising event, so we're going to be talking to people about donating items for the auction. We're going to be putting together a bar. We'll be doing things that we can do to generate some income because, as everybody knows, income's a little hard to find these days. And Marwan and I struggle with trying to deal with the grants and, more importantly, the strings attached to the grants.
Facts. That is, you've never spoken truer words, sir.
Yeah, so we're very aware of that. So doing a couple fundraising events a year works for both of us, and this will be a fundraising event for both Resilient Ecosystems and for G2 to help us continue to drive the project.
Well, I appreciate that, but I think it should all go to Roseco, and the reason why I say that is we're coming through. If you're looking through the country, right, we're still having, nor'easter. We're having crazy snow throughout the country. We're slated to have a hotter summer than last year. And if you remember last year, the roads were melting literally on I-5. Yep. And
California is underwater.
Okay. Port Orchard was underwater earlier this year or last year. Do you remember me showing those images?
Well, and remember the tornado we had in Port Orchard a couple of years ago.
We're so the COVID fatigue and trying to get back to life as normal. We're very resilient as a people, and unfortunately, we can rest on our laurels and get back to us like, oh, everything's all good. It's like, oh no, we still have Cascadia Rising. We still have all these other things that are projected, and we are not ready as a community. Individuals may be ready, but as a community, we are not.
Well, and if you talk about the individuals who are ready, you're talking about 20% or less, and most of them aren't willing to share. So as a community, the only way we're going to come through any of this is as a community doing it together. And again, we have been programmed to conflict, programmed to compete, but we have not been programmed or worked or taught to cooperate and coordinate.
So, what I love about doing this show is I don't know what Mark is going to have us talk about. So this is my first hearing of the Stone Soup and the event. And based on that, there's someone that I need to introduce you to and meet who is wanting to be collaborative here in the community. And shout out to her. I've been so tremendously busy. I haven't had a chance to get, uh, lunch with her. So she's invited me to lunch and wanted to know more of what I did and how we can come together. And no one owning it. Just this isn't a G2 thing. This isn't a her organization thing. We're just all coming together. And it's
which is
like,
how it should be.
and I knew you would love that. So hearing this, and I'm definitely going to make that connection. You'll probably be able to sit down with lunch before I do with her. Unfortunately, the way my schedule is going, but
I will happily make time.
in that hope piece, give me something hopeful. Kind of circling back to what Michael had posted, there is that, right. So what keeps me going is I look for the story that's happening locally, the work of an individual, the gesture or the giving, the selflessness uh, of someone getting their housing. I think I talked about this
Mhm.
last week. One of my former students got her housing and went through a tumultuous time and was able to navigate that quite quickly in less than a month. And that's what keeps me going, right?
Yep.
And sometimes
And
that's what it is.
and the House resolution to use public land for affordable housing in Washington State. I don't know where it stands in the overall run of things right now, but reading and actually having a time to watch the whole thing, but reading about it, I'm like going, wow, politicians are actually thinking about how to create land so we can have affordable housing. Now all we have to do is prevent realtors from getting their hands in the pocket.
Well, that might be a little bit more difficult to do. I definitely encourage people to make their voice heard at city council. Tonight is the city council
Yes.
meeting that's going to be talked about this evening. Um, and so, in numbers, there's power in numbers. And if you're saying, hey, as Michael was saying, I don't have the time, and there are things that we don't have time for. I have this conversation with you, right? Like, I don't have the time for this. I'm already doing all these things. That is one that's a very low investment of time and effort, but it pays dividends exponentially. So either writing city council or to the mayor or making your voice heard during public comment. So if we are all doing that together, the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
To that end, part of the cooperation that we're working for and the reason we teach the workshops is to get people to go to their neighborhood and connect their neighbors on a human level and get them connected so that you can determine what things need to change. So let's talk about what those change things could be. What if you discovered that the water that you're drinking isn't as good as you think it is? Because I hear people tell me, well, the water's tested regularly. Yes, at the source, but then it goes through pipes that have been in the ground for 70 years or more, and what comes out your faucet may or may not meet the standards that are at the source. I mean, the thing is that we're not taught to ask the next question. We just accept information for what it is. And if we find out that, we let's say a neighborhood gets together and decides that they're going to have their water tested. So they take a vial from everybody's sink and send it in to test. And it comes back and says, oh, well, you've got lead in the water. You've got, rust in the water from the pipes. You've got uh, uh, some chemicals that could be inherent in the off gassing of the plastic. Any number of things could be inherent into the water system. And then you decide, well, we need a better water system. We need somebody we need to have people on top of it. We need to change this. We had a big conversation last week about solar, and I had another conversation with a gentleman on Saturday that we need to talk about soon. And I have an announcement for that in a moment. But we were talking about solar and energy and net metering, and he educated me on net metering, and there's some flexibility in net metering I never knew. And so it could possibly work to put your house what he calls partially off grid, which means if
Mm.
your house goes dark, your solar powers your house, not just the grid. And it says there's some room within net metering to have the net metering finance and pay for the solar, and yet not have you be dark as your neighbor is, which is how it's set up now. Um, so Matthew, the gentleman I talked to, um, is a member of the Silverdale Rotary Club, and another organization that we'll talk about a little bit later. Um, but they have invited us to speak on May 25th at the Silverdale Rotary about the Kitsap Resiliency Project.
Okay.
So I am now officially inviting you to join me in doing a presentation about the Kitsap Resiliency Project at the Rotary.
Just depends on the day and time. What day is May 25th?
Hold on, and I'll tell you. The beautiful thing about doing this from my computer is I can pull it up and look. It is a Thursday.
Thursday? What time? I may be able to do that.
12 noon.
12 noon. All right, let me put it on my calendar now. Where are we going to be at?
I don't have that information in front of me, but I'll find it for you.
Okay.
But they're doing lunch, so.
Ooh, Rotary.
Silverdale Rotary.
Silverdale Rotary. Okay, Silverdale. All right, I'm putting it on my schedules.
And I am sharing this with everybody out there that this is happening. If you are a Rotarian, please show up. We will be talking about the Kitsap Resiliency Project. We'll be talking about Food for All. We'll be talking about Power for All. We'll be talking about the power of grassroots networks. And the reason that we don't want to have a one-off network, because one-off networks don't create change. They are catalysts for short-term change, but we need long-term change. So we need continuity, and that requires long-term networks built on relationships.
They're called Rotarians. That's pretty cool.
And they're good people. So,
I just never heard that term. So
yeah,
that's funny. Rotarian. If you're a Rotarian.
and they do good work. I've talked to a couple, 3 groups. I'm actually looking forward to talking to them.
Okay. Well, I look forward to it also.
Yep. And so this is actually, that's the old one. Let me get you a flyer for the new one right now.
Oh, you
And
have
hopefully
a flyer?
I do.
Oh, I like it.
And I'm hoping that this is not what disappeared.
You know what? That might be what it was.
Well, I'm sending it to you now, and you can tell me if it comes through.
I do. Let me go. Whoops, I don't want to forward it. I want to download it. Oh, when's the next time you're having coffee?
A week from Saturday.
Week from Saturday. Okay.
10:30 to 12 at Cups Cafe. I teach the workshops every week until I can train another teacher. And coffee we do every other week. So we had great conversations over coffee this week. Look forward to more of you coming in and sharing coffee with us.
Yeah, I'm hoping at some point maybe you'll do some different times. I can come on down. That it's a great spot, great coffee, great beverages, and desserts. Have I had the sandwiches there?
I have.
Sandwiches are good.
The sandwiches are very good. I have a gluten-free egg sandwich most mornings that I go there.
Going.
Huh?
Mm-hmm. The fireplace is going sometimes. Yeah. Just one of my favorites.
Yeah, the people there are super nice. They're very engaged, and they're just good people. If you go by there, you'll see flyers for our events in the windows. So
I know we're one of the things that I wanted to do was try to visit a different local business every month. It may be a little
overzealous.
Already over my skis as it is, but
yeah,
it would be a great way to kind of meet other people and get to know them and what makes them tick. And,
well, strangely enough, that's kind of what Terry and I have been doing when we put out the flyers for the Saturday workshops. Is we go we go into different businesses, we talk to each of the different businesses, we talk about what we're doing, and people get excited.
Oh, I love it.
So yeah, come hand out flyers with us someday.
Yeah, and you know what? Just to I'll say belabor the point. to bolster the point, that is a good way to start meeting some folks, right? You're going to eat, you're going to get a beverage. Try being a little bit more engaging when you're out with folks, because that is a great way to do that. I don't know why that is displaying that way. That is so bizarre. See how it's like sideways?
Yeah, it's a PNG, so it should have just popped right on up as a square picture or a rectangular picture.
Yeah,
There you go.
that is so
Okay,
strange.
there it
All
is.
right, learning to humor, making connections, building relationships, embracing diversity, respecting ecosystems, being responsible for yourself. I like that, right? Start with you, each
Hmm.
other, your community, the environment, having a voice and teaching others. Now for something different. On Saturday, March 18th from 12:30 until 2 p.m. at the Kitsap Regional Library, which is the ML King Library down on 5th in Bremerton. Here's the workshop. Who's it for? Anyone who would like to address the wrongs of the world effectively. Anyone who does not really believe that someone is going to fix the world for them. Anyone who will really engage is willing to gain perspective that might be different that the one they hold. Be willing and able to learn, to connect, and to find commonality. Anyone willing to do the work first on themselves, then for others, and finally the world. What is this? The first of 12 workshops that will change your life and potentially the world. What is more important to you? Uh, what is more important to you? That is for you to decide. But if not you, who? Let's say that again. If not you, who? Hosted by the Resilient Ecosystems for the Kitsap Resiliency Project, www.roseco.org. I love that. That is chock full of info right there.
So yeah, we train a different way so people can like get a sense of it. We've had far more positive reaction, but we put it out on Facebook and we get a lot of interest. People there is a Facebook. If you go to the Kitsap Resiliency Project page on Facebook, you will see an event for this, and every week I get a lot of interest and very few people committing to go. And those that commit to go frequently don't show up. So what does that say about people? Oh, it's really nice, but I don't want to get involved. I don't. I may be asked to do something. I may be asked to. Oh my God, I may be asked to think. You know, this is what we're asking. You're right. We are asking you to think. We are asking you to engage. We are asking you to join the conversation. But we are not telling you you need to go to all 12 workshops. What we're saying is come to the first one, see if it's something that calls to you, and then you can commit.
You know what? Let me add. I think this is important, and I know I'm projecting here, and I know that I am. I will not engage in certain activities or invitations to do things. Thank you. Because I believe there's going to be an ask on the other side, right? And so I'm like, oh, okay, if I go here, all of a sudden they're going to want me to do this and that, and I'm going to have to commit, and I'm going to have to do all this work. And so I'll just say no to it. And I could have been really enriched by the experience. I wanted to engage in it, but I felt like I was going to be pressured or bullied into having to do something and commit to something and busy my schedule. And what I would say is come and listen, experience it. And your puzzle piece is your piece,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's going to look like how it's going to look. And as Mark says, we can't tell you what that piece is. Only you can do that. But as you engage, you may do very little. It might be an hour a month. Uh, but as you learn, there's going to be a fire that I believe that will stir in you, and you will find your space and your place to empower and encourage others. It may be to transport people to get there to take part in the workshop. It may be to help advertise and get the word out, or to dialogue on social media,
Or throw a
to
neighborhood barbecue.
or our neighborhood barbecue, whatever that is. Don't be afraid of it. And I know that is often my experience is,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to ask me to do this. I'm going to have to do that. I'm not going to go.
No mystery here. The ask is on the flyer. We're pretty clear about that. But I will tell you that we don't bully you. We invite you to engage in the conversation. There's no reason to browbeat you. I mean, we all live in this world, this broken social contract where 80% of our income goes to somebody else. In order to change
That
it,
doesn't seem as bad as it
huh?
sounds. Yeah, browbeating.
Yeah.
Or is there a different connotation to
Yeah,
that?
well, slam your head against the desk a couple times and see how you feel.
Well, you're the historian of different sayings. Like,
I
what
actually
is
don't.
brow?
I actually don't know. I'll have to look it up now. Yeah, despite my weird ability to hold trivia from lots of different things, browbeating is not in my repertoire. But I have to look up one other one. I was listening to some people talk about British slang, and there's a statement they have called "Bob, who's your uncle?" And I'm like, and it's been going through my head lately, and I'm like going, "Wow, I really have to go figure out what the hell that means."
Yeah, I don't know
I
either.
mean, the British say some things that just I'm sure that within context they make sense, but to somebody in the U.S. who's just hearing it, you're like going, "What? What does that mean?" Even
Nobody knows.
anyway. So back to the things. We have a lot of stuff going on. I really invite people to come to the workshops. I think you will find it enlivening. If you're afraid of schooling, it's not like that. We don't do classroom read the book, test teach to the test, because every single person in there is different. It is my job, it is the people on our team's job to meet you where you are. So we aren't going to teach a general lecture series that half the people are going to get and half the people aren't going to get. We want to engage you in the conversation where you are and get your questions answered. That is our goal. Once you start getting your questions answered, we're hoping you will open up to have more questions and have more understanding about the discussions, because our goal is to give you tools to engage with other people and understand how to do it better, and how to create safe space to have conversations, because we want you to connect with your neighbors. We want you to connect with a larger community. We want to build a grassroots network that will begin to change the things that need to change. But understand this: don't expect immediate change. This isn't a TV sitcom. This is a seed we're planting that will grow a tree that we will never sit beneath. But if we grow the tree, our children can sit beneath it and have a safer future.
You are right, of course. What is for those of us that may not have children, what is the incentive if we're planting the seeds that we will never see?
Well, the depth of inhumanity that I try not to be judgmental about people, but if someone says, I don't have children, I don't really give a damn about the future. When I'm gone, I'm gone. Listen to yourself, man. Listen to yourself. How much depravity do you have? How much inhumanity do you have where you don't care about the entire race? How broken are you that you don't care about the people on this planet and their future? How do you even get there?
Well, lived experience, you know. Uh, I can think of.
I've got mine, and who cares if you get yours?
No, I'm thinking about not folks that are well-to-do. I think about people that are suffering, ignored, that are invisible, that have been just used and chewed up and spit out by the system. And
And the sad truth is, 80% of the people will never get beyond their cocoon. 20% will, but that's all we need to change. And those people who are broken, they benefit from the change as it happens, because we start doing things like caring for each other. We start doing things like making sure the systems actually work and are there to benefit the people, as opposed to to check boxes and clear paperwork from our desk.
So would it be fair to say then, if you don't have children and doing this work is planting the seeds that you won't see blossom and grow, is and also you said that change isn't immediate, that it's the coming together, it's the being together, it's the building of community, the we the people, the not being alone, to finding like-minded individuals, to make even the smallest of changes to improve your quality of life while you're here. I think would be how I would answer that.
Yeah, and let's be honest. We are not going to save the world in one round. We can't. It's not going to be fast. It's going to be generational work because it took generations and generations to get us here.
Mhm.
But as we start reprogramming our culture to be more human centric, we end up improving our lives exponentially. Now, this is not the big change in the overall picture. These are small changes, but they're vital changes for us. And if we get it going here in Kitsap County, we can, which is actually a fairly small place, where a group of 1,000 people can make significant change across the county by coming together.
Mm.
So we can make significant, fairly quick change here in the county if we can cooperate with each other and bring your puzzle piece and find the bigger picture and start determining what things will help the most people up front. I'm not here, Marwan's not here to tell you what those things are. We have some things on the list that we think are really good, that we think will make big bangs really quickly, but we don't know what we don't know, and you do. And as we see the picture, we can focus on other things besides the list that we have.
I had the president of the local chapter of the NAACP on last night, Robert Harris, and through the conversation today, people should get involved, encouraged to join. And what I put out there is we're heading into April, which is the Kitsap Great Give. It's our annual time for giving to nonprofits. I said, of course, organizations need your money. But if the 400 to 500 organizations that appear on the Great Give, if they had one person representative from those organizations join the NAACP, how powerful would that be? As such, how powerful would that be if one person from all those organizations got involved with Roseco,
With the
with
Kids Help
Resilience,
Resiliency Project, yeah.
yes, with the project? That's really the spirit of many hands make light work, right? So it's just one. Maybe you're an organization of four. Maybe you're an organization of 400, but one, leveraging the knowledge, skills, and abilities and ideas together to build community would be so powerful. And we really could do some things that would appear to be overnight
Well,
and change
and
the
and
culture.
I recommend that you send, say, if you're an organization that is looking to increase your ability and increase your tool set, send someone to the workshops,
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
teach you a different way of looking at things. And sometimes the way forward requires you stepping back and looking at a bigger picture.
Yeah.
And that's what we help
And
you do.
would it be permissible for them to send a different representative? Let's say I was going to do the workshop and it's like, oh, I made workshop 1 and 2, but I can't make it to 3. But my coworker
Yeah,
can. Would that work, or they don't have enough context because they need the
they
work
need
from the
they
beginning?
need the context from the beginning, because we built the workshops build from one workshop to the other on building a foundation, starting with perspective and going into an understanding of how things work that you may not understand, and then building the ability to build a grassroots network.
Now I know you're doing some train the trainer workshops also. Are those going to happen simultaneously or
Yeah,
after at a different time?
what we're hoping to do is find people during the workshop series that have an affinity for teaching the workshops. And we want more people, because I'm just one voice. I have one way of looking at things. I have one way of communicating them. Actually, I'm pretty good at a couple, three different ways, but mostly the success of the project overall is going to require other people bringing their voices and their way of thinking to the project, because that will expand the diversity of thinking, the diversity of approach will expand the project.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Well,
actually, I'm going to read something to you really quickly.
sure.
Let me get to here. This was you and I talked before when we started the show about a post on the Kitsap Resiliency Project page about a religious situation and that I found powerful. And I had to, of course, when I introduced it, say, I am not particularly religious. Resilient Ecosystems and the Kitsap Resiliency Project respects people's beliefs and celebrates their diversity. That said, we share ideas, lessons, and thoughts when we see them from whatever source because it takes many voices and many ways to share ideas.
I like it. I think that's pretty impactful. As we get ready to wrap here, 14 days, that's going to be the 25th. Just want to put that information up for the next time coffee is happening. Put it in your calendar.
Yep.
March 25th, 10:30. Okay. Then the workshop will follow after that.
Yep.
And as always, if you want to reach out to us, mark@roseco.org or on Facebook at Roseco Projects.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go to the website at roseco.org. Plenty of good information up there. So definitely encourage you to do that. Definitely want to invite folks down. We're getting ready to head down there now and set up for the Kitsap Housing and Homeless Coalition meeting at 2 p.m. at the Norm Dix building. If you can't make it, you can also tune in as we will be broadcasting that live. There are, I believe, somewhere between 70 and 90 organizations connected to Kitsap Homeless and Housing Coalition. So there are these kind of Venn diagrams of organizations coming together for different objectives. And so it's good to see that. We need more of it. And so come on down if you can. Like I said, our G2 is making cookies and coffee and juice and some other treats. But it is a really good opportunity to meet some different organizers and people that are doing the work in the community that are like-minded, swimming in the same direction. They may be working on their missions, but we are all trying to work in the same direction. Now, if we can all kind of get the same boat, the things that we could get done.
Yeah, or even create a flotilla of the mini boats working together.
I like it. So with that, I'm going to give you the final work, Mark, and then we will head on down.
We need to develop a culture of cooperation and coordination. We have a culture of conflict and competition. The way forward is the human way. The human way is to cooperate with each other. In spite of what you hear about human nature, I can guarantee you most of it is crap. But then again, I talk to anthropologists.
I don't want to leave the final word with the C word. So many C words, but there are worse ones for sure.
Yes, but yeah, I work with one of my cohorts in talking about this is a cultural anthropologist who has been all over the world at digs, has studied ancient civilizations. Forensic anthropology used to make the joke of, yes, it is my job to get blood from a rock. But he and I have had long conversations about Darwin and how Darwin is misunderstood and how he's misquoted and how Darwinism isn't the end all be all. And we kind of got stuck there. And understanding how people really function, you actually have to look back before our cultural indoctrination started.
All right. Well, these are some of the things that will be unpacked at the workshop. So we encourage you to come. Tonight is City Council at 5:30. Public comment. As always, do tune in. For our Mark Boatwright Frost, I am Marwan Cameron. This is Tipping Points and Puzzle Pieces, episode number 55. This is The Conduit. We will see you, in about an hour. All right, everyone.